could be, I think it's up to 5 years in jail and like $20,000 minimum fine if you bring a minor across state lines for an abortion without parental consent.
Bring a minor across
is it gonna
state
stop
lines
there, though?
without...
Are they gonna start being like, you need both parents' consent?
Yeah, no, I mean they're gonna. I mean, I'm sure, like with
this is gonna become
Roe v. Wade,
just the
like,
because it's like they don't get
take
it.
A step closer.
They are getting a step, to being just a fascist state
in which amendment to a point where they're like, all right, you can't even breathe,
right,
or think the idea about an abortion without being penalized. You know.
But Teresa on Facebook.
No, you can't do anything without the government, the red government.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Is it clear? Should I get my AirPods?
No, you're good.
Okay. Sorry.
What?
Go on, Tony.
Well, no, I was going to say, Teresa brings up a good point here. She said so much for parental rights because you were talking about consent. And I've said for the longest time that that's what the taking away women's bodily autonomy and even going after trans people and drag shows for that matter, that's people and books, banning books, that's them eroding away at your parental consent over your own child because that's really what they want.
We want to control what you can do with your child. Your child is ours, not yours.
Right? Big
we get the rights to deal with what you get.
The way the bill is worded, it really
is so annoying.
A point where if someone is receiving abortion pills in the mail and someone drives them to get it, whether they know or not, they could be charged with abortion trafficking.
Wait, you're saying the people driving the person to the mailbox?
Well, they're minors, so I have to assume most can't drive. So if someone took them to like the post office to pick up a package or something, potentially they could be
even
charged.
Picking up the
What the fuck?
Wow.
They're trafficking abortions.
Kids, this is what we get. This is what they want.
That is crazy.
This is the control they want.
Trafficking is.
This
makes no sense.
Here's the point: is that like when you said that just now, because I'm like, what abortion services? Because I'm not a woman. I'm not a female. I don't seek abortion services, so that's why I don't dictate to people what they should and shouldn't be.
Correct.
Right? That's one of the problems I think we have as men.
Thank you.
Think they have the right.
Thank you for saying I'm a man and I should not be involved in any of this shit.
Because when you said go to the post office, that's why I was like, wait, why in the hell would someone? But then I thought, oh, what you're saying is some sort of an abortion service. It may be a prescription, right? That comes
they're not performing DNC like surgery
at the post office. That's what I didn't think so. But
I mean, there might be some because of this law.
Right. Well, it could be.
Wow.
Maybe in the alley of the post office. But see, that's the point. The point I'm trying to make is that a lot of people that are making these laws, they're not serious legislators, and they don't know about these issues to be making laws that restrict these things, right? These choices that we have of healthcare, because that's what women are seeking here, is healthcare. I think a lot of people get that twisted. But what you're saying is because of how this is billed, anything that is an abortion service, right? No matter what it is, even if it's not the actual what most people would consider an abortion, right?
Service.
You're saying is going to be under the purview of this law, and it's going to really put people in legal jeopardy, even if they want to take them to a post office box, because they're like, "Hey, I need to go to the post office."
See, this is my point, and I keep saying this over and over again.
I think
start dealing with a real society and stop pushing your agenda on people. Actually, produce a society in which women want to produce kids. The problem is between debt and everything else that you're trying to rip these kids off of,
very well might rule in
including their lives
Idaho.
Before they can even get to college.
Everyone now.
They don't want to produce kids.
It's look what just happened with Roe. That's how we got here.
Thank you.
Right. And that's the thing, is that this is really going to could potentially affect everybody.
Thank you.
Not just women.
Thank you.
Idaho.
Yeah, I think there's a you brought
disconnect.
it up a moment ago too. Is
massive disconnect.
How far will they go with this, right?
Right. And they're not getting that this is going
week,
way overboard. This is going way too far.
You might think, or how it's written currently, to be like, all right, these are the protections because we feel these are appropriate from the Republican Party. But there's also, the way in which you write it, they might be like, well, we've purposely we wrote the semantics this way, so it could be, if it's challenged, then we could expand it, or we could interpret it even further, or imply that the intent was to have all of these things. And the idea that it's like, I think it says harboring as well. and transporting, recruiting, harboring, or transporting, which is like,
what the fuck?
yeah,
Harboring?
Republicans think that you're recruiting someone to
What
get
the
an
hell?
abortion.
Yes,
See
we
this
have abortion
BS
cults.
about
it's a
recruiting.
chapter of Antifa.
Yeah, just like drag
that's
queens.
the Wednesday meeting, right? Not the Thursday.
And I'm still
meeting.
trying
Okay,
to
I
find
understand.
the drag show
right,
that's
okay,
killed
I show up on the Thursday
6
because of the
kids.
food, but I didn't know that. We
Show
had a
me
whole,
the
like,
goddamn
a whole abortion
drag
meeting that we could
reading
go to,
library
too,
show
where
that
We
had
also
all
do
these
witchcraft.
kids. Oh,
Right there.
usually it's because a white supremacist has
okay,
been
I
there
see.
and we had to
Well,
beat the shit out of one of them
The chat is
for
asking
interfering.
Here, like, how are they going to track this? And I want your answer, but I want to let the chat know that in the state of Missouri, the head of the Department of Health, that our Republican governor put in charge of it, he had a spreadsheet that he was keeping track of women's
A
periods.
Spreadsheet? What kind of bullshit is this?
I mean, I know that sounds gross because
married?
it is
It's gross.
Is he married?
That is just gross.
I mean,
Probably not for long if he is, because that's
right,
weird.
well, I mean, if he is, wouldn't you like to meet her?
I mean, it's creepy. It's creepy. It's fucking gross, right? The fact
Thank
that you're
you.
gonna
It's
track-
really gross.
You'll be like, oh, let me just go into my fucking lookup table in Excel right now and try to figure, okay, I got a matrix here to match this person with this location and this time of the month.
But
Like-
darn, wasn't this the reason why when Roe was overturned that they
Am
were
I
like,
going
delete
through-
those
Oh,
apps?
hopefully-
Because we talked about
No,
it,
I'm
Gabe,
not
delete
going
the app.
through here.
I don't have a period tracking app because I don't
Well,
track
you should.
one.
Oh,
You
am I
should, and I
going?
think we all
Oh,
should.
are we
and I
going
think we
direct?
Should I?
Hold on,
What?
I may have to
Yeah.
come back and.
Should I? Just
Oh,
put it
that's
in
not-
there.
you
Hey, that's not a
guys
bad
That's
idea.
not a
I
bad
see what
idea.
you're on to
server
there.
because
I
I
see
don't
what
think
you-
I'm
so
going
you're
to
like,
the
just
server
post up
correctly
fake
because I
data.
didn't
That way
fix
it's-
it last night.
It's just like a mountain of fake data, and they can't
They
sit
don't
through it
know
and know
what
it.
to do with it. Not that I think that if it was actual data that they'd know what to do with it, but
Right.
Well, I mean, it's like Ben Shapiro. They don't know what to do with a WAP, even if they could find one. You know,
and they couldn't.
you know what? Okay, so I guess we're down to the genitalia now. So tell us about this Kansas. What happened in Kansas yesterday? Because apparently the governor vetoed this thing. Said fuck no. She vetoed that damn thing, but it was it's sent back to the legislature and they overturned it. Is that right?
Yeah, they vetoed. They overruled the veto, which
Right.
that's a whole
Right.
separate issue. So keep in mind, like, Kansas is now the 20th state
Oh, 1935.
to
Okay, sorry.
have a ban on transgender children participating in
Oh,
sports that are consistent with their
1935
identity,
slash-
their gender identities. So it's not unique to them, but it's so funny because, like, all the states that have it are exactly the states that you think would have this.
Right.
I had
and
all this set
Kansas
up, and
was
it's just
like,
like,
wait,
okay,
that's
yeah,
not true.
it works perfectly. And then the
So
day I
it's
go to
just-
start doing it, it
I-
all gets broken.
All right. With Kansas,
That's
their
okay.
bill is very.
Because I'm still transmitting, and I'll
Like, I made a video yesterday, and I just
figure through it and then
the
get
shit out of
everything
it
working.
Because
I mean, we can play
You,
it.
not
You don't
you.
need to.
Surely not you.
but like, the reality of it is this is discrimination, and yes, it's going to lead. Absolutely, opens the door to predators coming in to get the perfect dream jobs for them.
Mhm.
Because you can really write anything off and being like, well, that kid we suspect might be trans. Let's bring her in.
Right.
I mean,
It's-
it's
Or they
it's
can
Might
just say
be true.
we're
What the
gonna. Or they
hell
can
is-
say we're gonna
See,
do a
what the
random
hell
check
is
of the
this
whole
bullshit
team. What's
like
to
that?
stop 'em?
It's
This
really
Nazi-esque
vaguely written,
bullshit.
and it doesn't really, unless
with
I
this
missed it,
minority
specify
of people
how
who
they're
meet, who
instructed
literally,
to
I'm sorry,
receive
what
this
other thing that
information.
bugs
Now,
me
if it
about
said,
this
like,
is
buy
that
a
it
birth
literally
certificate,
forgets
I'd be
all
like,
of the people,
yeah, okay.
who
I
are-
mean, it's still invasive. I don't agree with it, but like
1%
that is less invasive
of people
than,
born
like, hey,
in
let
the
me
world are
drop it.
born
Right.
without,
I mean, I
on a-
think
without,
I when I was reading through it, I didn't see any specific language. It's just kind of general. It's very vague to say, like, if we believe or if we
the
know
correct genitalia,
that this
shall we say.
student is a
So they
transgender
actually do not
female,
have
then
a
we can
gender.
inspect
And
them,
that's the problem with so much of this bullshit is it's not based on science, it's based on bullshit of crap-ass, crappy religion. Not even religion that makes sense.
or fair.
Because even
It's
if you
fucking
retake
absurd
their
and
book
deadly
and go through it,
projection.
it makes no sense.
if we
It
break
made
this
sense in
down,
the 12th century.
to me, it looks
It doesn't make sense
all
today
comes
when
down
you
to,
have
like,
science.
Okay, so
See, my problem is
so we have all these families that are like hardcore
legitimate
into, like, their kids' sport.
people who call
And
yourselves
they're the ones who are
legal
gonna be
people.
Like, we just lost.
What
It's
are you
probably
basing
because
your
that kid
law
on that
on?
team is transgender. Check that she has a vagina, and it's like.
What are you
why
basing your
so worked
saving
up
the
with that?
kids on?
Why are you so
What
what's on the
child are
line
you
for
saving?
And what it comes down to is
And how
money.
are you saving that
It's
child?
Sponsorships, it's scholarships, it's partnerships. That's why they're worked up. It's not just because of the game. It's not because they just love the game. It's that they hope that their kids are going to get a free ride off the game. And now they feel that that's jeopardized by people, anyone who might be better than their kid, they can claim is transgendered and needs to prove.
And I go ahead.
Wow,
I was gonna
that's
say,
just
it was something that we
pathetic.
actually mentioned right before this.
Disgusting.
Which is like, I can see, there's those parents that like, they peaked in high school, senior year, they were the captain of whatever team.
Oh boy,
and
yeah.
That was it.
And that was
But
back
they
in the
still live
80s
in
for me.
The glory days, the good
Right.
old days where
If they had this
I was,
law,
king of the
my
school or
God.
queen of the school or whatever, right?
Yep.
And I think a lot of these parents too, also not only money, but they probably feel, like they use their child to relive that experience vicariously, right?
Exactly.
To be like, oh, you're
Thank
gonna win that
you.
trophy, but it's not you
We
winning that
had those
trophy.
parents.
It's me winning that trophy, right? I put all this hard-earned money to
into
make you the best athlete to be rewarded, and I'm gonna make sure that I get my money's worth, or I'm gonna make sure that I get my ego boosted, right? Which is a sad and pathetic thing to see, that parents, like, I get caring about, how your child does and, is active and all that. But like, there's definitely a line that's crossed when you're now like really living through that kid and everything they do in a sport. Right. And this is one of those things.
We all saw Little Giants.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It was exactly like that.
You brought up something that, again, I haven't even thought of in this case. And the reason why is because with these stupid ideas that the Republican GOP has, where they're living out their fantasies in some respects, it seems with their projection, that with the inspection would be done after the game, after their little snowflake got their ass kicked in the game, and they'd be like, oh, well, it couldn't be because these girls are bad. It has to be because those girls have wieners. Like everything is, is the fault of the drag show, right?
How does that affect them?
Must be
in
those
that way?
woke genitalia over there in the basketball uniforms, right? Because I didn't think about it that way. I thought about it like, oh, well, that we can't play against them because that girl looks a little too boyish. So we want to have that player checked, right? But what you're saying, and it makes sense, is after the fact, the parents get their feelings hurt or the students get their feelings hurt, and they trudge the whole team in to see who has what genitalia to see if that had an effect on the game, right? So, like, it's all these weird ideas that get planted into their brains about something that has been going on for a long time, and they haven't known this. Like, it's almost like they think trans people were invented yesterday.
Well, you think about like teenagers and even younger. I mean, this is not limited to high school. It could be like 5-year-old T-ball, like, which is like, the girls are probably stronger than the boys at 5. But, like, but it's going to extend all across that whole age range. And I can't imagine, like, I was a tomboy. I can't imagine someone coming to me and being like, if you want to keep playing soccer, we're going to need to make sure you're a girl because you dress like you're wearing like a lot of baggy pants.
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Do you know what that would have done to, like, me mentally?
Ew.
I think that would have fucked me up.
Thank you. That's just fucking
they're
gross.
Okay with doing that. Even
fuck you, motherfuckers who
who
are doing that bullshit, because that's just crap.
The doctor and the doctor being like, "I've been your pediatrician since you were born," and writing a note like.
Again, if it was based on any form of science, I'd be all in. But it's not based on science. It's based on a bullshit
cause trauma just by asking
statement of
because that's the other thing
of a book that has nothing to do with anything.
It's gonna mess a lot of kids up.
Not even your fucking Bible.
It's about
in some
about
cases.
the girls. It's about the women.
It's about the way you want to interpret
I had
a
a lot
book.
of comments on my video yesterday, mainly on TikTok, but like the bar is set really low intelligence-wise on TikTok, so I'm not.
Thank you.
You were advocating last week to keep TikTok, and now you're talking about the bar of intelligence on TikTok. I mean, I guess two things can be true at once, right?
It can be true.
And
Thank you.
I had so many comments, people being like, "Is this satire?" Like the one video of mine that isn't, and asking me like, "Are you serious? Boys always get their genitals checked in physicals," and I'm like, "Okay, but this bill's about girls."
Yeah.
I'm like, "But this bill's
And it's
about
not-
girls, and girls
okay,
do not. That
boys
is not a
get-
thing. They don't go and check for a hernia."
It's hernia.
Right.
Because
A hernia
that's a good
has
point,
nothing
because
to do
I was
with their
talking to my wife about
genitalia.
this yesterday when we heard about this, and I told
Holy
her,
shit,
in the
those
state
are
of
two
Missouri,
different
MISHA
things.
is the association.
And oh my
that
God,
is
if we're
in charge
doing,
of,
oh my
school
God.
sports, right? Public school sports, like that's the state association that sets the rules, sets the boundaries, and in those boundaries, those student athletes have to receive a physical. And part of a
Thank
boy's
you.
physical is to check for hernias.
Hernia.
And
That
when
has
you
nothing
do that,
to
a
do with
medical
genitalia.
professional, a doctor.
Thank
not
you. You go
some
to a
fucking weirdo school administrator who doesn't have a degree in medicine and know how to check for a hernia. That is the person who is doing a check for a hernia.
Thank
and
you.
Yes, during a male hernia
Physical.
check, you generally have your pants down and they check and have you turn and cough. That's the turn and cough
You guys ever
thing.
wonder why they're checking prior to you playing? Doesn't it make more sense that you're gonna get the hernia because of playing? Isn't it weird they check?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. And to Tony's
But
experience,
we also
like, I was
want to make
talking
sure
Dara about this
before
yesterday,
you
like,
even start playing.
I don't.
You don't. You didn't get one. You didn't get a physical.
He might
No,
have
I
blocked
did.
out the trauma.
Yeah, I might have just like, oh, don't touch me. But
I wasn't traumatized, but I
No,
I do remember it was the doctor that I had my whole my growing up. You know,
I had
like my
I had a
pediatrician.
doctor. Yeah,
Right.
but for me, like if I call back, like try to recall the times I had a physical, it was always like, oh, we're gonna check your breathing, we're gonna check your heart, we're gonna check your weight, your height, like all of those typical things. We're gonna make, if you don't have any problems, whatever. But like, there's a part of me where I'm like, I don't remember having like a physical where like we're checking everything until like
when I went to
I
start
was
playing
much
sports.
older, right? Like
Nope,
maybe
when I
into
started
high
cross
school is when
country,
I was having
I had
those
to
types
do
of
a
physicals.
huge
Maybe I had
physical.
one as a-
When I
as a
did
young kid.
wrestling, I had to
But
do a
there was a
physical
gap
for
in
that.
time where I
Thank
remember
God,
going
most
to
of the
get a
time it was
physical every
one
year for
physical for the
school
entire year for
and
all
not
the
having
sports.
to have those things checked because
Because that's the way the
Probably
Catholic
because
Athletic
it
League
wasn't
had
specific
it.
for
And
sports.
yes, it
but
was.
that's the other thing is that you can get a physical in the beginning of the year,
Right.
and you're cleared for sports for the whole year.
For the whole year,
Right.
for
And I
everything.
guess it seems like that's different than if you're going in specifically for a sports physical because your last one was. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
No,
but
my
again,
high
it
school
doesn't
was
make
very
sense to check
much
for
if you're
hernia
going to do
prior
sports, you got to get
playing
a
the game
sports
that might cause a
physical.
hernia.
This is a regular physical, and
Kinky
you had to
Streets
do a
brings
sports
up, brings
physical.
up a good point. Like HIPAA much? Like these are, you would think that all of this bill would violate HIPAA, right? Like you're not a medical professional, you're not your medical professional, your pediatrician or your like family physician. You would think that this would be some pretty violating. I mean, like pun
Well,
intended.
you have a choice. They're not requiring. It's just like okay, like just to put it in perspective. For anything else, medical conditions that schools ask, like asthma, or if you have medications for some kids have to take ADD medications throughout, or ADHD medications throughout the day, whatever.
Right.
It's kind of falling in, I guess it would fall into the same category because in order to play something that you're not required to be playing, this is what we need. So you're either going to sign off and waive that HIPAA, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're giving that consent.
It feels like a big difference.
Man,
And I
see,
feel
that
like we
seems
all
like a
agree here.
consent that
One's
you wouldn't
different
be
than being
giving.
like, hey, it's 3
That's just
p.m.
that has
or
nothing
it's
to do with the sport.
noon, here, take this medication versus drop your
Right.
pants and let me look at your.
Thank you.
But
But
There's a-
they didn't
there's-
specify in the
yeah.
bill that, and that's part of the problem. They didn't specify that it has to be done by a licensed medical professional, accredited pediatrician, whatever. It was just like
Anybody?
Yeah, they're like,
Anybody.
oh, the janitor is gonna come through and inspect. It's like,
no. Well, what if they start bringing the pastors in? That's what I'm
Right.
doing.
Thank you.
Whoa, well,
Whoa,
we
whoa,
know
whoa.
on your
Anybody
Twitter
but-
page, the
See,
pastors
that,
could
again,
definitely be a
this
problem.
needs to be based
We have
on
the best
science,
audience in the
on a
world here. They
real
have stuff
thing
to
that
fund.
makes sense, not some bullshit
How do you
out of a
comment?
fucking
He
book
says,
that nobody
"This
can
is
actually
nuts."
render as being true.
if you
Sorry,
there's
there's got to be
in
a
here-
scientific
sorry, I can't-
reason
Hold
for
on,
it.
or, do you see a comments button on the side?
Yeah.
Yeah, hit
Oh,
that.
that
That's
was-
where the
Yeah.
comments are. Here,
Those
I'll.
are
I
all
thought that was like if I wanted to leave notes to you guys.
No, we have a
there's
private chat.
That's the private chat. Here,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
look here.
Oh.
You have some
Okay.
great comments.
Got it.
Yay!
Oh.
And then Texas Paul is in here. Dara, thank you so much for all you do. So you got fans in here, my
well,
friend.
Paul does Bex and I solid, and he shares.
Texas
post.
Paul shares those things.
Yes,
Yeah.
Texas Paul is a warrior for democracy, and sometimes shining the light on some of this
Or
stuff.
just a warrior. I think for the
Well, the
work
shit that these people are just putting forth that's just garbage.
This type of stuff.
Well, thank God he points it out in the supremacy bullshit that they're doing.
Basic human rights to be like, hey, this is my body, and you don't get
the right to talk to me about how to deal with it. It's just no.
Take away my own privacy.
Thank you.
For your own fucking desires or whatever, like sick obsession.
Yeah, so we violate their privacy.
Yeah.
They all love you here in the chat, so good responses. So go follow Dara on Twitter, and you'll see her feeds. Go follow her on Instagram, and
I'm everywhere.
You'll see her videos.
I'm on TikTok.
Do you have a link tree?
I do, but it's in my Instagram profile and my TikTok profile. It's not on Twitter.
Just glad that it's because
I'll get that,
it's so ridiculous that these kids.
In the comments or in the description below, we'll put Dara's link.
The funny part about when I do remember.
Well, you got one more thing?
Yeah, I wanted to. I'm just. Have you guys seen Democrat messaging pushing back on these bills? Because I haven't seen much.
Last night when they were so when
the problem
we were
is the media and they're playing.
I didn't know that this bill
yes
had been proposed in 2021 and that people were talking about it for the one specifically in Kansas, and then started digging into it. But I didn't see anyone really talk about either one of the. I mean, the abortion trafficking one I heard like in the last few weeks, I want to say, but the Kansas one I didn't hear anything, and both of them happening on the same day. I heard a lot of people talking and bringing attention to it, but there's this, it's like, what's the next step? Like that's the big thing of like, how do we fight back or how do we challenge this? But it was only until yesterday did I see everyone, and maybe it's because I was looking for what I wanted to see or whatever in terms of these, this bill or this being signed or this bill being proposed. But I feel like yesterday was the first time I saw either of these things, or at least just the Kansas City one, come up in terms of people being upset, right?
I'm wondering, can Democrats, whether they can do it or not, should they just start screaming out into the void that now we need to? Can you stop?
Is that your cat?
It's yeah.
What's your cat's name?
Sassy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's funny because I had a Siamese and she was not named Sassy, and I don't know what happened there. I didn't think. If the Democrats could just start yelling about we're going to start putting a ban on requiring genital checks for sports. I don't know if they can, but why not start throwing it out there?
Yeah. Right. That's exactly the thing. We need to put we need to put a law out that says no. We're not going to allow that.
Start shouting it out.
Shit. I mean, come on. This is how you get around this shit.
They're fantastic.
You stop this shit. I shouldn't say.
It's sick the way they do it. The fear mongering, but what's going on with Democrats?
Yeah. No, that's a good question.
We need to take some notes from them and start
No, that's. I agree with you. I think being loud and proud, because every day I don't steer away from the word liberal. I think liberalism is strength, right? And I believe that Democrats should stand for their ideals and their principles of democracy. And part of democracy is making sure that just anybody and everybody, or old pastor what's the fuck's his name, gets to fucking check someone because he thinks she doesn't have the right genitalia in her basketball shorts at a game. That's not shit we should be doing.
Thank you.
Violates other people's liberties, their rights.
Thank you. It has nothing to do with your fucking rights.
The freedom to oppress the rights of other people is not liberty.
Thank you. That's not liberty.
Hell, we got T-shirts with that printed on it. But that's, I think that's why it's important to follow you on social media, because you are holding these people accountable. And yes, you may not be a Democratic elected official. And I don't even know if you're a card-carrying Democrat or a Democrat.
Doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with that. This is my problem. That's the bullshit of this.
The point is
it should not be about Democrat or Republican. This is about your society. And if you care about your fucking society.
What you do on social media. And everyone can do their part. Everyone can do their part.
This is the problem. Stop breaking it into this A, B. It has to be,
And
yes, I'm not
travesty
crazy
of
about
democracy,
that.
what
But
is
the
going to
problem
happen
is
if
you've
these
got
three
one
members
group of
are
people
expelled,
who's
and I'm not sure if
literally
they are or not
saying
yet.
it
I
is
don't know
all
exactly when the
about
vote's
my
gonna happen.
rights.
Yes,
Are
is it
you?
gonna be a tragedy
And what
of
is it you're
democracy? Yes, but
conserving?
is it gonna test us, the pro-democracy coalition, people who want democracy, who want freedom and rights to be the vehicle to liberty that we so seek for equity and equality for all? Then yes, this is a test, and we need to be tested. It is us, the people, because we are the government. We are the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or whatever the fuck party there is. It is us. It is we, and we are the ones who are the voice of this country. And yes, sometimes in these deep, stupid places in the country, the minority ideology of the country reigns, and it has power. But we can fight back. We can. I said it in the first 30 minutes. What we should do is Democrats in blue states should say, we're going to gerrymander the shit out of these states. Every single district.
The only problem with that, I agree. The problem is when we do that, we open ourselves up to the court and what happened in goddamn New York. And we don't need that to happen either. If we're going to do it right. But what we really should be doing is getting rid of all of this gerrymandering 100% and going with public funding 1,000%. Get rid of this bullshit where we have money in politics. The end.
Republicans will understand the risk that is taken.
Even in Europe, where
right
that is the standard, you do have these issues. So realize we can fix a lot of it. We can't fix every dime of it, but we could fix a lot of it.
Push into this fascism and call it for what it is. They're a bunch of fucking pedo-Nazis.
Thank you.
No one in their right mind would think that it's okay to just run around checking fucking children's genitalia at sporting events.
Pedophiles would think that's okay, though.
Well,
Thank you. That's the problem. Pedophiles would think that's okay.
Because, look at
we
what's
need to
going
stop
on in
allowing
France,
that be the okay thing.
All because of what pensions, retirement age went up
by 2 years.
2 years.
Thank you.
And look at them fighting. Meanwhile, we have some serious shit going on here, and everyone's like, "Well, time to check what Mima said on Facebook."
Thank you. Fuck your TikTok bullshit and all this other crap.
Who? Mima? Is that?
Thank
is that
you.
her name?
No, it's true.
I don't know. I'm not on Facebook.
Thank you. I'm not on Facebook, but my mom is on Facebook.
It's just we sit here and everyone's just.
They're actually a little upset. Some of those older folks are a little pissed off that everything that they did, these Republicans are trying to get rid of.
Huge.
It's not
what's
that
happening here.
It's not
and
nice.
Everyone's just taking to the internet. I mean, the kids went out in Tennessee, 10,000 of them last Friday, and they got ignored.
Right.
The kids are the ones out. At what point do we all just go?
Just say fuck this shit and go tell them you either change it or else.
Yeah.
Is it working in France?
Yes.
I don't know.
I just saw
it slowly but surely is, but it's going to take some time. It's still going.
I saw a video today.
It's still
where
going.
They were inside of, I think it was BlackRock, which is
it was BlackRock, and they're a piece of shit company.
Yeah. They're the ones who purchased a lot of real estate during the lockdown for COVID, and then are trying to pump up or inflate the market. They had a huge loss, which was great.
Because that's the problem is these companies are doing shit for instead of doing things for society, they're doing things to make
fires inside this building.
An end amount of money for a group of people. And only a small group of people.
And only
we
over
need to
2 years.
Get rid of that system.
Insane to think it's just 2 years. And again, to your point, it's like over here, we've got healthcare things that are happening. We've got education things that are happening. We've got gun violence things that are happening.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it is not to say that people are numb to it all, because humans were not built for this much stimuli, right? This is so many bad things happening
continuously going.
But I think there is a part of it where people are like, holy shit, what do I focus on? Because there's all these fires happening. And I think that's, I think to your point earlier, what is the Democratic Party doing? And it is there are so many fires that the Republican Party is starting. And as the Democratic Party or anyone on the left, you're looking around trying to figure well, oh shit, do I put that one out or this one out first? Or I put that one out, but then this one got bigger and now I can't control
whack-a-mole.
that. So, right, exactly. It's,
more than just whack-a-mole. It's just
it's like the cartoon where you're plugging holes in a wall and the water keeps coming out of different spots. That's what it feels like. And a lot of days where you're holy shit, I don't know what to bitch about or call attention to, because there's all these things, and everyone has their own priority of like, this is important to me because of this reason, or this is important to me because of this reason. And it's just like the Republican Party is a party of chaos and destruction.
Well, you know that's part of their plan, right? Yeah. That's part of their plan, is to keep as many holes coming out of the wall as possible, so that we have to keep plugging each hole. And eventually we'll get exhausted and we'll give up and just let the room flood. That's part of their plan.
Exactly. Just keep
well,
going.
Their plan is flawed because while we might be physically drained after years of since we were all like early teens, like late middle school, early high school, to now, it's just been one thing after another. Like we're all just like fucked and we're drained. But Gen Z is they're going to start voting, and they're
X and Z are not that.
Like, they were
some
born right
are,
into this,
but a lot of us are like still going, what the
Yeah.
fuck is this?
You know, they don't have dreams
What the
that
hell
have been
is this
defeated
shit
because
that they're
they
still
didn't have dreams
trying to
begin
do
with.
this crap?
That's what we messed up, is we
They're still doing
we
it.
made plans and dreams for our lives. And
Are you saying it sucks to suck and we suck? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Like we had the ability to be like, we're like, oh,
Right.
anything's possible,
that
like
potential.
we're good. And it was like, nope, that's squashed.
We
And
even had the best generational name. It wasn't even a goddamn letter. We're just like, we're not even going to take a letter. It's millennials, bitch. That's what we're going to do. And then we're like, we're really cool. We got a name. It's not just a letter. And then it just got all fucked.
Right. But
I
Gen
think
Z
Gen Z is going to be the one thing that they're not. Really
Maybe that's the trouble, is we
Not
didn't
ready
take
for
a
that.
letter. Maybe we should have taken a letter. Maybe that was
should.
We
it.
didn't even name ourselves. The boomers did.
Well, of course they did. Oh shit, she's going on the boomers. The chat's gonna light up now. Ding 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 ding. And when Dara says boomer, the chat just lights up. Dara, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I want to go to some of this footage in Tennessee because I want to show the audience what is happening in Tennessee as well. So, Dara, thanks for joining us again. Thanks for keeping us up to date on Idaho and this Kansas thing. Everyone, go follow Dara on Twitter and go to her link tree. I know the mods have been putting her link tree in there, so go follow her on any social media that you're on and keep track, because she does great satire videos and she keeps track of some of these, as we call them, pedo-Nazis.
Outside.
So, thank you, Dara, for joining us. All right, let's get back. You know what? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to some of this Tennessee footage down there in the capital of Tennessee. We're gonna watch. Do you know if it's happened yet? If these three members have voted?
The vote, I haven't. I'll send you the link.
Okay,
it's currently happening as we speak.
Okay,
or at least they're giving.
Let's go to break. Let's go to break. Let's see if I can pull up some of this video. We'll be right back right after this.
We'll be right back. Mark, 60 seconds. This is the Tony Michaels Podcast.